Good day, Louisian Gems. Welcome back to General Biology to Lecture. This is your Mom Jeremy Sagario, your lecturer for the Week 6 topic. Last week, you have learned about the structural organization between plants and animals, which allows you to understand their similarities and differences. In connection to your learnings, this lecture video is focused on the plant and animal, nutrient acquisition and processing, and gas exchange. This lecture video is divided into two parts. The first part is all about the acquisition of nutrients by plants and animals. For the first part, these are the following objectives to be achieved at the end of the session. First, enumerate the structures or organs involved in nutrient procurement and processing in plants and animals. Second is to describe the functions of structures or organs involved in nutrient procurement and processing. And lastly is to explain how food is processed in a mammalian digestive system. Why do organisms need to involve themselves in various activities for the maintenance of life? All organisms perform various life processes to acquire necessary energy for them to survive to environmental changes. Energy is necessary because it allows organisms to move, respire, and digest. Through the acquisition of energy, organisms can obtain food through the process of nutrition. Nutrition is the basic process of providing or obtaining food necessary for health, survival, and growth of an organism. By the different food sources, organisms acquire nutrients. And these nutrients provide energy for the organism's metabolic processes such as growth, maintenance, reproduction, and even immunity. Organisms have different modes of nutrition. Thus, they can be classified based on how they obtain food. The first mode of nutrition is autotrophic. Autotrophic organisms can manufacture their own nutrients by synthesizing inorganic materials. The term autotroph is derived from two Greek words. First word is autos, which means self, and the second word is trophe, which means nutrition. Autotrophic organisms are categorized into two. The first type is photoautotrophic organisms. Photoautotrophic organisms directly use the energy from the sun and other inorganic substances such as carbon dioxide and water to form organic food. Examples are green plants, algae, and photosynthetic bacteria. The second type is called chemoautotrophic organisms, wherein they synthesize food with the oxidation of chemicals. Examples are sulfur oxidizing bacteria, cyanobacteria, and iron oxidizing bacteria. The second mode of nutrition is heterotrophic. Organisms that belong here are unable to synthesize their own food and depend upon other organisms for deriving of nutrients. Heterotrophs include all animals, fungi, and some bacteria. Heterotrophic nutrition is classified into three. The first one is called saprophytic or saprotrophic, the mode of nutrition in which organisms feed on dead and decaying materials. In saprophytic mode of nutrition, the vital nutrients required for their body are collected from dead and decaying materials. Examples are fungi, yeast, and mushrooms. The second type of heterotrophic nutrition is called parasitic. In this type of nutrition, an organism takes food from other organisms. The organisms that takes food is called a parasite, and the organism from where the food is taken is called the host. The parasite can be either outside or inside the host. When the host or when the parasite is located outside the host, it is called ectoparasitism. And when the parasite is located inside the host, it is called endoparasitism. The last classification of heterotrophic organisms is Holozoic. Holozoic nutrition involves the ingestion and internal processing of solid and liquid food in an organism. This involves the steps of ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, and excretion. Holozoic organisms can be divided into three types. First, we have the omnivores. These animals can survive on either plants or animals for their food. Second is we have herbivores. These organisms depend upon plants for their food. And lastly, we have carnivores, and these animals are fed on other animals for their food source. For plants to be healthy, these are the necessary nutrients that plants must obtain from the environment. Plants need water and carbon dioxide. Water and carbon dioxide are the raw materials needed for photosynthesis. And photosynthesis is the process by which plants convert the energy from sunlight into a chemical energy. In addition, plants also need to have or acquire essential nutrients or elements, which include macronutrients, which are normally required in amounts above 0.5% of the plant's dry weight, and micronutrients, which are required in a minute or trace amounts. For animals, on the other hand, acquisition of necessary nutrients are also vital, since these nutrients are essential for them to function properly. So first, we have carbohydrates. It actually serves as a major energy source for the cells in the body. These are usually obtained from grains, cereals, breads, fruits, and vegetables. Second one, we have proteins. Can also be used as an energy source, but the body mainly uses these as building materials for cell structures and as enzymes, hormones, parts of muscles, and bones. Proteins came from dairy products, poultry, fish, meat, and grains. Third one, we have the fats that are used to build cell membranes, steroid hormones, and other cellular structures, and also used to insulate nervous tissues and serve as an energy source. And lastly, we have essential nutrients that include substances that animals can only get from the foods they eat because they cannot be synthesized inside the body. Plants and animals are made up of different types of cells, and these cells uptake food or nutrients through endocytosis. Endocytosis is a process by which cells take in substances from outside of the cell by engulfing them in a vesicle. These can include things like nutrients to support the cell or pathogens that immune cells engulf and destroy. Endocytosis occurs when a portion of the cell membrane folds in on itself, encircling extracellular substances such as fluid, molecules, or microorganisms. The resulting vesicle breaks off and is transported within the cell. There are three types of endocytosis. First is phagocytosis, which is also known as cell eating. It is a process by which cells internalize large particles or cells, like damaged cells and bacteria. Within the human body and in other mammals, phagocytosis is how immune cells engulf and destroy dangerous microorganisms or toxic compounds. The second type of endocytosis is pinocytosis, which is also known as cell drinking. It is common in both plant and animal cells. During pinocytosis, the cell takes in substances from the extracellular fluid. And the last type is called receptor-mediated endocytosis. It is a specialized type of pinocytosis. During receptor-mediated endocytosis, macromolecules bind to receptors along the surface of the cell's plasma membrane. And a good example of receptor-mediated endocytosis is the cholesterol uptake. We have seen that animals may eat other animals, plants, or a mixture of both. Some animals even eat dead or decaying organisms. Adaptations for obtaining these foods and nutrients include a variety of feeding mechanisms. The first type, we have substrate feeders. Imagine spending your life swimming in a large bowl of porridge. Substrate feeders live this kind of existence, dwelling in or on their food source. Leaf miners are tiny substrate feeding insects that tunnel their way through leaves. Termites are substrate feeders that destroy wooden structures by burrowing through the wood, feeding on the cellulose. An earthworm is a deposit feeder, a special type of substrate feeder that ingests partially decayed organic material along with its substance. The second type is filter feeder. Filter feeders are a subgroup of suspension feeding animals that feed by straining suspended matter and food particles from water, typically by passing the water over a specialized filtering structure. Some animals that use this method of feeding are clumps, krill, sponge, whales, and fish, including some sharks. Third are the fluid feeders. Fluid feeders suck nutrient-rich fluids from a living host. Fluid feeders may also be herbivores or carnivores. Aphids suck the sap of plants. Leeches and mosquitoes soft blood from mammals, and these are examples of fluid-feeding organisms. Fourth are the bulk feeders, which eat relatively large pieces of food. Many vertebrates, including ourselves, are bulk feeders. Both carnivores and herbivores may use the same feeding mechanism. Thank you for listening and have a good day.